9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Discussing everything about the afterlife and spirit world. Coming to you all the way from Ireland, it's Sandie Byrne.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Life AfterLife with me, Sandie Byrne. So firstly, before I get into this podcast, I want to encourage you to send in any questions that you have about mediumship, about the afterlife, the process of crossing over, anything connected to spirituality. It's so important for me to get your questions or suggestions for episodes. Okay, I mean, I could talk on here for weeks, and I have done months and over a year. But actually, it's 2 years, isn't it? But anyway, we're on episode 151 with this one, so it must be 2 years. So as I say, I can talk on here for forever, but I could still miss the important questions that you have in your head. Because, I assume that people know a lot, and I assume that people understand stuff even better than I do. Okay, so if there's anything that I can answer for you, any topic that I can delve into on the podcast, just let me know, please. Okay. So I'm going to put my WhatsApp number in the show notes attached to this podcast. So you can send me a voice note or a text or whatever with your question. Okay, and I definitely will be, taking note of them all, and I'm looking into already next season. So just as a reminder, we won't be releasing podcasts during May, June and July. I want you to go and enjoy the summer with your families, and we will be back in September with a new season of the Life Afterlife podcast. And while we're on the subject, the other thing that I was thinking about, okay, if people are interested, is doing a listeners episode. Okay, so I'm hoping that I'll have some people listening that might be interested in contributing to that. Okay, so I'd love even to have some of these stories to use over the summer months. Okay, like anything that you have that's relevant, your experience, of spirituality, your experience of loss, maybe a breakthrough moment in your spiritual development or in your grief, your experience of suicide. Like there's lots of stuff, that people experience, and other listeners experience the same stuff, and it would be lovely to just put together, and that's what I'd love to do over the summer months, guys, is put together like a listener episode where we can share all those experiences, that other people can relate to. Okay, so if it's anything related to the content of this podcast, and you'd like to share it, okay, then I would love to hear it. And, there's lots of people, as I say, listening that would connect with it too. So they would love to hear it too. Okay. So same as I said already, you can use the WhatsApp details in the show notes attached here to send me a voice note of your experience, that I can include in the podcast. I mean, you can leave your name or not leave your name, depending on whether or not you want it to be included. If you want to send me a voice note with your story or your experience, or if you prefer, you can send me details of what you want to share, and we can arrange to jump on a very quick Zoom call so you can chat to me about your experience, and I can record it and then include it in a listener's episode. So we can do it like a few different ways. If you prefer to just send me the text that I can read out, that's fine too. Okay. But this is your podcast. I want to share spiritual experiences. I would love to chat to some of you about your spiritual experiences. Also about your questions, it'll be good actually exercise to send in your questions. Maybe you could send them to me in a voice note, and I can use that to record the answers on different podcasts or, whatever. Okay, so just get in touch if you have something you would like to share. Okay. And as I say, I'm going to get this episode together over the summer months, and, hopefully it'll be one of the first episodes that we publish when we continue the podcast back in September. Okay, so don't be shy. I've really been working hard here to get a community of people together to share their spirituality. Okay, but I can't do it without you. Okay, and if you are really interested in it, again, we will be taking a break for the summer months, but every other month, so for 9 months of the year, we meet once a month. On the last week of every month, we meet up and we chat. Okay, I answer questions, we talk about our spiritual experiences, anything that's bothering people, anything that's going on, and we do some tarot card readings as well. So we just meet up for that once every month. Okay, now you can come in for 10 minutes, you can stay with us. The last couple of times we did it, the meetings, they were, a couple of hours, but you don't have to stay for a couple of hours. I'll just be asking people's questions. We'll be having a little bit of a chat, and, you interact with each other as well, not just with me. Okay, so that's on my Patreon. So if you want to go to my Patreon, you'll find the link in the show notes attached here as well. Okay, so thank you for listening, but let's get on with this episode. I'm sure you're sick of listening to me already. And, in this episode, I want to have a little bit of a rant. Okay, so bear with me. I did title this Dealing with the Naysayers. And, I know that I say all of the time that it doesn't matter what people say to me, that they're entitled to their opinion. And, that's still very true and very relevant and very valid. But it doesn't stop me being upset by people on occasion. Okay, and that happened to me recently. So very recently I was at an event. Okay, it was a business event for people who run their own businesses. Okay, and part of the event was that you could get advice from people about different aspects of your business. So I decided to avail of one of these sessions. But when I met the advisor, okay, I spent my whole session justifying to him what it is that I do. Okay, yeah, I know. Just give me the business advice. It doesn't matter what I do. But anyway, I did. This person was religious, okay, which they're entitled to be. I'm actually quite religious. I have a huge belief in my faith. I was raised Catholic and I still have a deep belief in Catholicism, okay? But he spent the whole time asking me how I can justify what I do when it's clearly against my religion. Okay, yeah. And something similar happened to me on Facebook recently, because for those of you who are watching this on video, you'll see I'm wearing a cross and chain, and I wear this quite often. It was a present from my two sons. And, I wear it because I'm Catholic, because I believe in it. Okay, you don't have to believe in Catholic faith. Okay, absolutely not. And those of you who know me, that, I don't push religion down people's throats, okay? I rarely talk about it, to be fair, okay? So you're not going to get that from me. And even, when this man was going on and on, I'm not the kind of person to tell people to F off, okay? I'm not, okay? I try and explain to them if they're willing to listen. I try and engage, in conversation. But this person really wasn't willing to listen to me, okay? And instead of giving me the business advice that he was supposed to give to me, he just shrugged his shoulders at all my questions and told me that he didn't know how he could help me. So he was putting his own beliefs, above my needs, which he was there at the event that I paid for to help me, and he didn't, because he didn't believe in what I was working in. So I was actually quite upset by that, okay? And I just want to be clear, I did not ask him anything about mediumship or anything about psychic work, okay? I was asking about advertising, about websites, about marketing, okay? These were supposedly his areas of expertise, okay? So I suppose I just wanted to rant to you here a little, because I know that you get it, okay? If you're listening to me here, you get it, and you get this, and you'll get people that if they find out that you believe in spirituality, if you believe in afterlife, they'll say that you're cuckoo, okay? Because being spiritual isn't something that everyone believes in. And the fact of the matter is that most people look at you as if you have two heads when you tell them that it's something that interests you or something that you have a belief in. Okay, when people ask me what I do for a living, I tell them that I have an online business. Okay, that's not a lie. I do have an online business. I do all my business online. Okay, but I'm not good at marketing myself. Okay, because of experiences like the one that I've just described to you that I had recently. Okay, I don't want to have to explain myself. And generally, I find that I do. If I say to people, oh, I'm a psychic medium. What's that? Is that where you talk to dead people? Can you tell me anything about me? Or, should you really be doing that? Is it not demons that you're talking to? I get the whole thing. So it's easier for me to just say to someone, I have an online business, okay, and I work for myself, and I leave it at that. Okay, and I know that's not good marketing for somebody who's in business, but it is. Okay, that's just what I say. And, in the same way, I don't want to push religion on anybody. And I definitely don't want to push spirituality on anybody. Okay? And I'm accused all the time of taking advantage of vulnerable people. But, I don't necessarily go out and, look at the death notices in the newspaper and then call to families and say, oh, hey, I can hook you up there, That's not what I do. And it's not what mediums in general do. Okay? People who are interested in readings will approach me. And people tend to find me at the right time for them. I feel that people are pushed towards me when, by spirit, when they need clarity, when it's come to a point where they need a reading with whatever's going on for them. Okay? And so many people say to me, you popped up on my Facebook feed, you popped up on my Instagram feed, I don't even follow you, I don't know why you popped up. As my mother always says, what's for you won't pass you, okay? So if you're meant to come across me, you absolutely will, okay? What I do try to do is to share my life with people, okay? I do put a lot of stuff, and if you follow my personal page, maybe more so. I do have the business page, which I use, but you'll all know that's broken. That hasn't... I get new likes on that page every single day, and yet the number never ever moves. So it's kind of broken. It doesn't go out to everybody. But I've started to put an awful lot of stuff public on my personal page. Not everything, I have a lot to do with my kids that only my friends can see. But if you follow me, I do put a lot of stuff on there that's just about me and what I'm doing with life. And I want people to see that, if you're someone like me who's spiritual, okay, that you can see how I balance my life, that I have a very, very normal life experience. This is important. It's a very important point because, many people call mediums gifted. And I'm always assuring people, and I assure you here now, that I am not gifted at anything. Okay? And I definitely do not feel special when I'm under pressure at the checkout in the supermarket and I'm trying to pack my shopping and pay because the person behind me is in a hurry. Because everyone in this life is always in a hurry. We are not relishing the small moments at all anymore. Okay? So I try to show people that my life isn't all about spirit. It isn't all about mediumship. It isn't all about psychic readings. And I was once accused of this actually by a woman that I used to work with in my old job. And she once accused me of raising my boys. I have 2 sons. And she accused me of raising my boys on a consistent diet of claptrap. That's what she called it, okay? She didn't say mediumship, she didn't say spirituality, she said claptrap. And that's fine. I really don't care what she calls it, okay? But I just simply turned around and said, not really, we eat chicken, we eat pork, we eat beef, we eat potatoes, we eat vegetables, like every other family, okay? And that our diets aren't anything special or anything different, okay? Because if you start getting into arguments with people, it just doesn't go anywhere. So, I try and just answer people's questions. Okay. Now, for those of you who are religious, okay, or in any case may have an understanding of Christianity because of your upbringing. Okay. And I know a lot of people that listen come from Ireland and the UK. So there would be a lot of people with Christian backgrounds. Okay. And I did put a video on social media about this after Easter. Okay. Because I'm always thinking about it. I really am. And, because I do have my belief in Catholicism, I do wonder sometimes, am I going to burn in hell because I connect people with their loved ones in spirit? Okay. And I suppose I feel like I should just put in a little spoiler alert here. The hell as we were taught as Christians, it actually doesn't exist, okay? It was like one of those things, like the wooden spoon to scare the kids, from doing bad things. Okay, so hell as we were taught it doesn't exist, okay? There's different levels of heaven, which I've spoken about a lot and may do again in a future episode of the podcast. But, because I'm told a lot that, I'm not actually communicating with anybody that's died, that I'm talking to demons and all of this malarkey, okay? And, you know, what people do a lot of the time, and I'm sure other religious people or other Christian people get this, is that people always throw out Bible passages at me to prove that I'm a bad person, you know, who is communicating with demons. You know, now this in itself does make me laugh, okay, because I spent 13 years at a convent school, okay, being taught by nuns. I guarantee that I probably know more Bible passages than you do. Okay. And, you know, I always laugh because I live out the countryside, so we don't generally get too many callers. When I lived in town, you get a lot of callers in town, people selling stuff, or, you know, people selling religion, Jehovah's Witnesses and the like. And we did hear once at our house out the country, we got some Jehovah's Witnesses calling to us. Now, I have no problem with them because they do them and I do me, and it's fine. So I was being very friendly and very polite, and at the time I had a sign outside my house because I used to see people at the house, and she was horrified by this and started quoting Bible passages at me. And in the end, she had to, you know, say to me, okay, well, obviously you know your Bible, which I do. Okay, anybody, and I know a few people listening to this would have gone to school with me. You know, we were taught the Bible very well in convent school. So, you know, I can have that conversation with anybody, not putting down their beliefs. Okay, but if someone says to me, you can't do this because it says here in the Bible, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, I can counter that by saying it does, but it also says, okay, so we can do these things without putting people down. And, you know, that's what I like to try and do. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, I put this video up on social media. Okay. And I want to share the sentiment here with you to show you how I believe that my spiritual beliefs cross over with my religious beliefs. Okay. So I'm sure at some point, whether you have a religious background or not, but, you know, I'm sure at some point, because of Easter and Christmas and all the rest of it, you may have heard of the idea of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Okay, we call it the Holy Trinity. And I was doing a lot of thinking about this over the Easter period, and it got me thinking. Okay, so in a past episode of the podcast, I spoke about the difference between the soul and the spirit, and the fact that the soul always stays in the spirit world, but that it's the spirit that returns to earth to live out the different lifetimes. So I was wondering if this is what Jesus was trying to explain to us when he was on earth, and he spoke about his Father in heaven. Okay. What if the Father that he was referring to was his soul, with him being the Spirit or the Son, as he referred to himself, who came to earth to live this lifetime? Like, you know, wouldn't that make sense? Does that make sense to anybody? So the soul is what he described as being the Father. And as I say, as we already know, the soul always stays in the spirit world. So the Father in heaven. And the Spirit is the Son, as the Spirit is an offspring of the soul, or the Son, as Jesus describes himself. Okay? To me, this makes so much sense, and it ties in so much of religion as I was taught it, you know, even though I had my spiritual beliefs. So it's my belief that both your religious beliefs and your spiritual beliefs can go hand in hand, and that there is a huge crossover, you know, between the two. Because as I said, people pull all sorts of passages from the Bible to put down our belief in spirituality. But there's enough evidence in the Bible to make the case for the existence of a life after death. And a life after death that can and does overlap with our earthly lives. Okay? Yes, I know there are parts of the Old Testament that refer to people communicating with demons, and that it is a sin to communicate with the dead. Okay, and you know, the book of Deuteronomy even says that such practices are detestable to the Lord. And when people say this to me, and they do often, and I get it, you know, by email and by, you know, social media messages and stuff, and, you know, they throw this at me, you know, this is detestable to Lord Jesus Christ. But they forget that only the gospel is the word of the Lord. And if we look at the Gospel of Matthew, where he describes in detail the transfiguration of Jesus. You know, we are told about Jesus conversing with Moses and Elijah on the mountain. And both of these men, both Moses and Elijah, were figures from the Old Testament, and they had already been dead for hundreds of years before Jesus was born. Okay, so Jesus himself spoke to the dead. So, you know, why is it not good enough for us? I believe that it is. Okay, so as I said, I'm Catholic. I can only give references from Catholicism. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about other religions to make similar comparisons, but I'm sure that there are many. And, you know, if you're a regular listener to the podcast, you'll have heard me talk a lot of times about the 7 steps, or the 7 steps to eternity, which is the book that was written by Stephen Toroff. He was a past guest on the podcast. And, you know, about the 7 different levels of spirituality. Now, I may be wrong, but I think that comes from Hinduism. Okay, so there is a lot of similarities across many religions, okay, and spirituality. You know, so without getting too deep into it, because I don't want to bore people with religion. That's not my intention. That's not the purpose of this podcast. My intention with this rant was to remind you not to let people put you down. Okay, because people who don't know anything about spirituality or haven't read anything or researched it in any way, you know, they can be clueless about the workings of it, and, you know, clueless about our beliefs in it, you know, and the depths of our beliefs. And you laugh at me now for this, because I actually confessed what I do for a living in my last confession at Easter time. Okay, and I told the priest that I communicate with spirit for a living. And I really and truly was expecting him to turn around and tell me to give it up at once. Okay, but I told him that I had no intention of stopping it. Okay, I never chose it. It chose me. We've talked about that in the past, you know. But I was actually pleasantly surprised by his answer. And he told me that as long as I wasn't doing it for harm, then it wasn't a sin. You know, if I truly believe in it, and funnily enough, he himself actually does believe in it. Okay, but if I truly believe in it and I wasn't trying to control anyone or use it for evil, then I wasn't committing a sin. And we actually had a long and detailed conversation about this in the confessional. Okay, and I know that different priests would have different opinions, but, you know, to have this conversation with a priest was refreshing, because it shows me that not only is the Christian church coming around to understanding people's beliefs and people's needs, but the world in general is becoming a little more spiritual and sympathetic to the needs of others. Okay? Now, I do feel like I'm droning on here a little bit, but I do believe that this is an important point. Okay? And I can almost hear you saying, what's your point, Sandie? Get on with it. My point here is that not everyone is going to agree with you on everything in life. Be it spirituality or the love of Indian food, whatever, you know, there's so many things in life that people disagree on. Some people are so unhappy or unsure with themselves that they will attempt to put you down to make themselves feel better. And it's up to us not to allow them to do that. Okay, and we don't do it by arguing with them, because arguing does not solve anything. It only stresses us out. It stresses me out, I should say. I don't know about you, but definitely stresses me out. Okay, I'm the most unconfrontational person in the world. So I have a tendency to just agree with people. And I just nod and I say to them that I can understand why they would feel that way. And I leave it at that. Okay, because if people are putting you down, or if they're looking for an argument, and this could be on anything in life, it doesn't have to be on spirituality, okay? But this says more about them and what's going on in their lives than it does about you. Okay, and this is important, guys, because you're here because you believe in spirituality, because you want to connect, you want to have this connection to your loved ones in spirit. And, you know, you can't do it if your energy is low. And if you allow people to get into your head and to put you down because of your beliefs, then that's going to affect your ability to connect with spirit, because you're going to have that skepticism in there that says, Is this real or is this not real? Am I talking to demons? Are they right? Am I schizophrenic? Am I mad? Okay, that all affects your energy. So stand tall in what you believe. It doesn't matter if I don't believe in the same thing as you. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in the same thing as me. We can find a middle ground and we can explain to each other our points of view. Okay? It doesn't matter. You don't have to get agreement from somebody. And I always explain this like sushi. Okay? I don't like sushi. Okay? Even the thought of it makes me feel sick. Okay? I've no craving for it and I do not want to eat it. But does that mean that I stand outside a sushi restaurant shouting at everyone about how they shouldn't be eating it? Absolutely not. Okay? And I don't. I simply don't eat sushi. Okay? And I just go about my business eating the vast amounts and arrays of food. There's so many different alternatives out there. Okay? That I could live the rest of my whole life without ever seeing sushi. Okay? And the same thing can be said for spirituality and religion. Okay? Take it or leave it. The only person it affects is you. Nobody else. If you're happy with what you do, then that's absolutely fine. As long as you're not negatively affecting anyone else, then life is all good. Okay? And there's a rule in Christianity which says that we hate the sin, not the sinner. And I apply this to everyone in life. Because I may not agree with what somebody does. Okay, maybe they're drinking too much. Okay, maybe they're being mean to others. Okay, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Okay, but it doesn't mean that I don't or can't like the person. I might not like the behaviour. Okay, but it doesn't mean that I don't like or that I hate the person. I always wish people well. I never wish negative thoughts on anyone. It doesn't matter how they've treated me. You know, I'll just go my own way and wish them all the best. Okay, now I'm not a saint. Okay, it's not always easy to do that because, you know, I have had it a lot in my life where people just say, you said this or you said that or whatever. And I actually don't counter those things. I just walk on and just do my own thing. Okay, but I do try my best. You know, not to be confrontational, not to get into an argument, not to, you know, be mean or cruel or wish somebody, you know. Now, we've all done it. We've all done it in the past. We've all said something on the spur of the moment that we wish we hadn't said at the time. But that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. You know, that just means that you said, you know, that you said something in the heat of the moment. That doesn't have any reflection to who you are as a person, you know, and how you treat people every other day. Okay? So wish everybody well. Because, you know, we're just here for a short time. But we'll share the spirit world for eternity. And I, for one, do not want to have to hide when I'm over there. Okay? So look, I hope that listening to me rant on here today gives you some insight into why you don't need to listen to other people putting you down or telling you what you should or shouldn't believe in. Okay? People are very selective when giving information. Wish them well on their journey. Okay? You do you. And it's very important, guys. And, you know, I did the self-love course with people recently and they enjoyed it so much. You know, I must put up some of the testimonials that people have sent me after it. But people enjoyed it so much because we let everything get into our energy. And if you think about all this negativity that's bouncing at you on a daily basis, that's going to get into your energy, into your aura. And that's going to affect how you connect with spirit. Okay, how you connect with yourself even. Okay, so try not to listen to it. Try to let it bounce off you and just smile. Okay, when Jesus said turn the other cheek, he didn't literally mean turn the other cheek, but smile at people. Okay, let them do them. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. They don't have to believe in what you believe in. Okay, so if you're enjoying the podcast, I would like to ask you to leave a rating. Okay, please do. On whatever channel you're listening on. Okay, just a star rating. You don't even have to type out a testimonial. You know, if you give it 4 or 5 stars, whatever. Okay, Now, if you're listening on Google Podcasts, okay, Google Podcasts is becoming part of the YouTube Music platform after June 2024. Okay, I saw that somewhere the other day. So if you are listening on that platform, and funnily enough, for some reason, Google Podcasts has become very popular over the last while, in that my podcast has been getting a lot of listens on Google Podcasts, which is great. Okay, but please make sure that you're aware of the change. Okay, that's something to do with, I don't know, has Google been taken over by YouTube, or are they the same company? I honestly don't know why, but I know I saw that when I logged in to put up my last podcast, that Google Podcasts are becoming part of YouTube Music. So just check that out if that's where you listen. And just a very quick reminder to send in your questions or listener stories to me. My WhatsApp number is in the show notes attached, and you can email me. You'll find my email address in the show notes. Also, if you're listening from the States, I also have Voxer. It's not so popular over here, but because I do a lot in the States, I do also have Voxer. So if you search for me on there, you'll find me there. Okay, so guys, thank you once again for listening. Okay, I do appreciate each of you for joining me on this journey. It's not always easy. It's a lot of work on top of everything else. But, you know, so many people contact me and tell me, I listened to your podcast. Okay, so if you have a question, if there's a topic you want me to cover, please do let me know. I am looking for somebody to talk about light language, because that's something that somebody asked me for ages ago, and I haven't been able to find somebody to come on and talk about it. So if you do know somebody that talks about life language, please, or light language, I beg your pardon, please do let me know so that I can invite them to the podcast to answer our questions. So for now, guys, I'll say goodbye, and I will see you in the next episode of Life After Life. So until then, take care and stay safe.
Discussing everything about the afterlife and spirit world.